This is J. Krishnamurti's sixth discussion with teachers and students at Brockwood Park, 1969.
Also, what shall we discuss or dialogue or talk over together?
You often say that in order to have a meditative life, to lead a meditative life, one shouldn't be with one trouser and 1 meal a day or fast or have no clothes at all. But what is it if one wants to lead a meditative life and also think that in order to have this life, one needs better clothes and better house and the best food or more or something? Can you discuss this?
I don't know. Maybe we'll answer that question differently. Maybe we go into it. Are you interested in what's happening around in the world?
Why do we feel bored after we have a certain time and place? I mean, I would say, for example, the first time we came to a place, whatever it is, we feel happy because it's something new. But after a while, we feel bored and we would like to go, for example, rest to another kind of place.
You mean being restless?
No, not that, but it's probably our nature that we are being often so poor about. Well, let's take an example that people which live in the city, and he likes to take a rest to go to the mountain place or to the country. And so also the opposite direction.
Why do we get bored, is that it?
Yeah.
Why do you get bored with this place? And want to go to some other place and get bored with that place and get tired of another place and keep going. Is that it?
Mostly, yeah. Mostly.
Yeah, that's right. Most of what people do. Or people establish themselves in one place and never move out of it. Why does one get bored? Not with the place, not with people, not with environment, not with a particular activity or a particular relationship, husband, wife, or a friend, Why does one get bored with anything at all? Is that it?
Yes, after a certain time.
Yes, bored means after getting used to something and then getting tired of it, getting bored with it, and then wanting to change. And then after changing for a while, get bored with that, and then change again and keep going. So the question you're asking is, why does one get bored at home? What do you think? What is boredom?
I think because one.
What do you mean? What do you mean by being bored? You are bored with me, or bored with. What do you mean? What is the feeling behind that word?
You're unhappy and indifferent.
Unhappy.
You are not entertained anymore.
What?
You are not entertained anymore.
You are not
Entertained.
You are not entertained. You want to be amused. You want to be. You want to enjoy. You want to be entertained. You get bored with one drink, a type of one drink, and then you want to change it. So this constant demand for change born out of boredom. Is that it?
New sensation,
New sensation.
lack of satisfaction.
Yeah. I get tired of this woman or that man and I go off to another woman or another man. Why do we do this? And what does that mean, boredom?
Feeling of emptiness.
Emptiness? Being empty in oneself, one wants to be entertained. I come to this place, it's fresh and nice and clean and new, and after a couple of months I say, oh my God, what a joint this is. Well, I'm sure many of you have said this. Or you might say, well, I want to be in a different place. Why is there this feeling of wanting to change and being bored at all with anything? Find out, sirs. Go into it a little bit.
And it's a kind of blaming of our unhappiness on the circumstances.
So you depend, are you saying you depend on circumstances to be entertained, to be amused, to be sustained, to be nourished, to feel alive? And if the environment doesn't give you enough stimulation, you get bored with it. Is that it? The environment may be you or my wife or my husband or a particular kind of activity or politics and so on. Environment. The thing that environs me, that is around me. I get bored with it. Or I depend on it to sustain me, to stimulate me. Right? Hmm?
It's more like repetition of sensation bringing habit, and therefore an ability to see anew, and therefore after some time there is the strong desire to leave this, to get away, because it has become a routine and every day the same thing, and therefore there is no discovery, no joy, no pleasure, nothing out of it, but only trust and repetition.
So look at it. I depend on environment for stimulation, right? I depend on a book, environment, something outside myself. Wife, husband, house, trees, lawns, drink, and so on. Depend on something which will give me a stimulation to make me do or act or think and feel and so on.
Then you'll always get bored.
Yes, that's what we do. Or go inward. You follow? Inwardly I feel I'm bored with myself. I'm bored with my usual attitudes, usual activity, the eternal going over and over again about myself, my worries, my problems. I get bored with all that.
If your concern is with the pursuit of pleasure, you're bound to, because pleasure will turn into pain,
Yeah.
and boredom is a form of pain.
Yes.
So if your concern is pleasure, then of course you're going to be bored.
Right. So, why am I doing all this? Why is there this activity going on? The outward seeking and the inward seeking, the outward boredom, the inward boredom, the seeking of outward pleasure and inward pleasure, and getting bored and afraid of not finding it, and so on. So why is one doing this all the time, more or less? Do you know you're doing it? Are you aware that you're doing it?
I think we do habitual thing without attention.
Yeah. Now, I'm asking, are you aware that you're bored? Bored with, all that we've said. You're not aware, are you? Bored with people, bored with the place, bored with one's own troubles. Are you aware of all this boredom, this search for non-boredom? Do you know what it means to be aware? Do you? Just to be aware. You know what it means?
To be sensitive to what's going on around you.
Huh?
To be
be sensitive to everything that's going on around you.
Right. To be sensitive to what's going on around you. Are you? No, don't use words or ideas without doing it for yours. You know what I mean? Something yours, not somebody else's ideas. What are you aware or sensitive to everything, to many of the things that are going on around you? Are you aware of the trees, the lawns, the sky, the winds, and then quiet days? And people around you? And for yourself, what is going on inside you? Do you know what it means to be aware? If I dislike you, can I be aware of you?
You can know that I'm there, but I don't think that you can really know. If you don't want to know me, then you can't be very sensitive to me.
That's right. If I dislike somebody, I can't be sensitive about that person or for that, sensitive to that person. If I have any bias, any prejudice, if I am afraid, if I have any conclusion about that person, right? I can't be aware of that person. I can't be sensitive to that person, right? So, have I conclusions? Have I prejudices? Have I various forms of resistances? If I have, I'm not aware of the lawn, the trees, the skies, the people, the things that are happening around me. So can I be aware of my conclusions? My prejudices? Am I aware of my prejudices? I dislike Indians or Negroes or Germans or whatever it is. I dislike you because you have short hair. Or you said something to me yesterday which was not very nice.
And we see that if we are always caught in these prejudices, without being aware of them, we'll always be bored.
Of course. No, don't bring in with the word bored yet. Just go into this question of awareness and you will come to it for yourself. You will see it in a minute.
We say that awareness is there, but there are things which are blocking the awareness.
I don't know. That's just a supposition.
Why is it that we are sometimes aware and then we forget about it?
Why do you sometimes forget about it? Is it a forgetfulness? Or inattention? Or unawareness? If you say, I've forgotten it, you're already aware. Aren't you? So, Goethe says, is one aware of one's own limitations, one's own conditioning, the conditioning of prejudice, tradition, the various forms of resistances, antagonisms. Is one aware of? Are you aware of it?
Some of them I think you can be. Like you can be aware that you're prejudiced and the reason why you're prejudiced. But then again,
now, if you are aware of them, what takes place?
Why, yeah, you start changing and you become less prejudiced, I guess.
Not guess so.
You become less prejudiced.
Either you do it or don't do it. If one is, say, I am aware of my prejudice, disliking somebody, am I aware of it? And what happens when I am aware of it?
You either say, well, I don't like this person, so that's the way it is, or else you change. But you don't say the same. You know, I don't think if you're really aware you could. Well, wait.
Go on, thrash it out. So put your brain into it. Don't just. I am aware of my prejudice as an Indian, born in India till about 9 years, kept there till I was 9 years old or less, and all that prejudice as the Brahman and so on imprinted on my mind. I am that. I am aware of it, aware of my conditioning till I was 9, till I was whatever the age is, as a Hindu. Now, can I be aware of it? Can the mind be aware of its own conditioning? You're following this? Right? Born a Hindu, with all the prejudices, superstitions, etc., etc. Now, can that mind be aware of it? That it is conditioned. What happens when the mind is aware that it is conditioned?
Isn't it free from that conditioning?
What?
Isn't it when you become aware of a condition, of that you have been conditioned, then I think you become free.
No, not you. Are you aware of it, of your conditioning? You are not examining me or supposition. Now, what happens when you are aware of that prejudice? I wish you would stick to it.
Well, you bend over backwards not to be.
Is that? You see, don't look at it. Sarah, aren't you? May I call you that?
Yeah.
Don't look at it. I am aware that I am prejudiced against the Negroes. I am aware of it. Do I bend backwards not to be?
Well, you can't very well.
Can you?
It's part of you. You can't.
It's part of you. So what takes place when you are aware that you have this prejudice against the Negroes? What takes place?
Either you express this prejudice, or watch very carefully, because you know that if you don't watch carefully, you may express it involuntarily and therefore do harm to yourself and to the person concerned by your prejudice.
So, be simple, little more simple. You're prejudiced against me, for or against, which both are prejudice. Now, you have become aware that you are against, you don't like me, or you're prejudiced about me. Aware, what happens actually there?
You start examining your prejudices. You start examining
Now,
your prejudice.
how do you examine?
Well,
be careful, because watch it very carefully. Are you different from the thing you watch? Remember we talked the other day about duality? See what happens. Do watch it slowly. I am prejudiced against you. I say, I watch it and I realize I'm prejudiced. I resist it. I mustn't be prejudiced. Stupid. Right? Therefore, there is a watcher and a watched. Right? Right? Therefore, there is a duality. Therefore, there is a conflict in that, isn't there? I must not, oh, I like him, or should I? So there is conflict going on there. We also say that any kind of division or duality does inevitably bring about conflict. Right. Now, I realize that. I watch it. So I ask myself, is the mind different from the thing it is against? I dislike you. The mind dislikes you. It becomes aware of it. And says, yes, I am prejudiced against you. I am not for you. I dislike you. Either I leave you alone, or I begin to analyze it, I begin to look at it, right? Now, when I look at it, I am looking at something outside of me, right? Is it outside of me? Or the watcher is the watched? Right? You're following all this? The watcher is the watched. Then what is he to do? You get it? Yeah. I am prejudiced. There is prejudice against you. When the mind says, I must not be prejudiced, the mind puts itself apart from the prejudice. Therefore it says, I'll bend backwards or forwards, I'll fight it, I will resist it, I will change it. So there is a duality which brings about conflict. The mind sees that. So it says, is the watcher different from the prejudice? It's not. Right? You follow this? Then what is the mind to do with that prejudice? Go slowly, sir, go slowly. You will see it in a minute yourself. Work at it. It's a mathematical problem. If, when the mind is not different from the thing it is watching, it's not different, it is the same, then what takes place with regard to prejudice? I am prejudice. My mind is made up of many prejudices. The mind becomes aware of it and says, I'm not going to fight it, I'm not going to accept it. Then what takes place? Are you stuck?
So the prejudice is not operating any longer.
Huh?
See it?
You say it's not there?
But it is.
But if you see it, if you see it, is it there? If you see
Watch it, sir. Think it out.
If you say it disappears, that means that the mind disappears too.
Watch it. I don't know what you. I'm not telling you anything. You've got a problem here. There is prejudice, and the mind says, I must get rid of that prejudice, right? When the mind says that, it separates itself from the prejudice. But the mind itself is the prejudice, right? Then what has it to do with that prejudice?
You can't do anything.
Huh?
It's you. You can't do anything. Anything you do produces more.
So what takes place?
Stillness.
Huh? And don't guess. Do it and you'll find out. This is intelligence. You follow? It isn't. The answer is not at the end of the book. We said at the beginning, listen carefully, that when there is any prejudice of any kind, any conclusion, any like and dislike, there is no awareness, right? Watch it, listen to that carefully. If there is any form of prejudice, there is no awareness, right? Right?
If you're aware of it, then there's no prejudice.
Look at it. Therefore, when the mind is aware that it is prejudice, it is not aware. Right? Look at it. See, I'm answering you, not answering me, unfortunately. We said when there is any form of prejudice, conclusion, like and dislike, resistance, it prevents awareness, right? I can't be, there is no awareness if I'm prejudiced against it. Right? So prejudice is a form of not being aware. Huh? And if you are aware, there is no prejudice. Got it? So is the mind aware? Aware, not prejudice, against prejudice. Aware of something, just aware. I don't know if you get the point. If the mind is aware, there's no prejudice.
Yeah. But you're jumping, Krishnaji, aren't you? In other words, if you're prejudiced, you say there's no awareness.
No, wait, go step by step. That's what I said. When there is prejudice, there is no awareness. It's obvious. But the mind is prejudiced. Therefore, it's not aware.
But then you can't be aware of the prejudice.
Wait, it's not aware. That's what we started out with. Right? Leave that on one side. The mind is prejudiced, which means it's not aware. So there is a prejudice, and it resists that prejudice. Get it? It is against that prejudice. It bends backward, it fights it. All that's part of unawareness. So as long as the mind is unaware, it is going to resist, it is going to divide, it is going to have prejudices. Right? Only when the mind is aware, there is no prejudice.
But you're still prejudiced.
No.
No, but if you're the prejudiced one, you've said you cannot be aware as long as you're prejudiced. You're over here prejudiced. Now how do you get to...
From there to there?
Yes.
I've showed to you. First let us see clearly that what it means to be aware. Right? What it means to be, what it really means, signifies meaning inwardly, which is where the mind is aware, it is free from prejudice. Right?
That is a supposition.
No.
This we don't know.
No, watch it. When I am aware that there is a serpent, or a precipice, or a danger, I am free of it.
You just said that one could not be aware.
No, please, just listen quietly. Listen to what I'm saying. What?
That's only if you have a prejudice, you're not aware.
That's all. Carry on, sir. I'll be quiet. You got it, if you got it.
With the prejudice, it's only what happens is if you have a prejudice, you cannot be aware. You are not aware. If you have a prejudice, you are not aware of that. Then, to be aware, then you deal with the prejudice. You say, okay, I have a prejudice. Then you are creating a separation. You're dividing yourself, the prejudice, and what is out there. And when you make that division, you cause confusion, you cause conflict, and it grows. But the minute you are aware of the whole, of whatever it is out there,
You're quite right.
you're truly aware of it, and you're aware of it, of just all of it, then there's no prejudice.
How do you know when you're aware of aware?
Look, madam,
You are.
it's very simple. I am aware of a precipice, of a danger. There is an awareness of precipice, a danger, right? And what happens when you are aware of danger? You act. Right? Now, there is an awareness of prejudice. I mustn't say that. There is, we said, when there is awareness, there is no prejudice. But the mind is prejudice. Right? Right?
How do you know that there's no
I run away from, if you are a white man, I'm a Negro, I go away from you. I don't like you.
Yes, you know the prejudice.
I mean, that
how do you know that awareness is no prejudice?
No, that's a theory. Just watch it very carefully. Don't jump into a theory. Look, sir, let's begin. I am prejudiced. My mind dislikes white or black or purple people. I investigate into that prejudice, analyze it, right? It is my conditioning, because I've been brought up with purple people. Therefore I dislike everybody else. That's my conditioning, right? If I remain in that conditioning, and I'm not bothered by anything else, I accept it. There's no problem. You follow? I dislike any people who are not of my color. And I keep away from them. There's no problem, right? The problem arises only when I have to come into contact with them. Then I become aware of my prejudice. Right? Because being purple, you take away all my job, you give me less education, you whatever you do. You're following all this? So I become aware of my prejudice only in relationship, in action, in contact. Right? I'm not aware of my prejudice otherwise. I'm blind. Is that clear?
You become aware of your reaction.
Only when I'm confronted by another reaction. Suppose, sir, I live with people who are all purple. There's no problem. I'm purple, and they're purple. I have other problems, but not of color. But if you come along who are black or brown or purple or another color, then I begin to question. Then
you react to me.
Yeah, I react.
Which can be called prejudice.
Then what takes place? And I say to myself, it's stupid of me to be prejudiced. If I like to fight you, that's a different matter. But if I don't, then I say, why am I prejudiced? I begin to investigate, analyze it. So I discover that there is an analyzer and the thing analyzed. Right? Right? Two different things. And I see in that a conflict. Right? That's what goes on all the time. So I say to myself, by Jove, this isn't right. I hear you say to me, don't divide. Division is contradiction. And therefore conflict. I understand that I say the truth of that. So I say, by Jove, there is conflict only when there is division. Right? And my group is against your group. Or I have the group feeling and I want to remain in that little group. Right? Now there it is. I've heard you say to me, any form of division is destruction, is bound to breed conflict. And that you say that not being aware, you're not awake to the whole problem, you're only partially awake. If you are awake to the whole thing, you'll have no problem, no prejudice at all. You'll say, well, I'm purple. What of it? Right? So, I found one thing. Division is prejudice. Right? And I am dividing all the time. The mind is dividing all the time. Black and brown, purple and white and so on, so on. Dividing. Suddenly it becomes awake. Because you pointed out something to me. Right? At that moment, there is no prejudice, is there? Because I'm awake. Yes? I am awake for various reasons. You tell me something and it gives me a shock. Or it's a danger or something. So I'm awake. At that moment of wakefulness, there is no prejudice.
It's like if you take a fire and you put a black child in the fire. There's a black child in the fire. And you know that you see a child. You see a child in the fire. You, at an instant, you can react and you get the child.
Yes.
But you don't think, am I prejudiced? Is that black or is that white? Or should I do that? That's if you realize at that instant to say.
Is this clear?
Doesn't it also go back to what we talked about earlier about conclusion, Krishnamurti? As long as you have a conclusion about anything,
it's a prejudice.
You are stalled.
It is division.
Yes.
My conclusion against your conclusion.
But then what happens is, if you start investigating your conclusion, you're only dealing with the conclusion.
Quite right.
You're only dealing with your prejudice. You're not dealing with the whole.
That's right, sir.
Isn't any prejudice a conclusion?
Of course it is. My colour is better than your colour. Prejudice. Any assertion, any conclusion, any formulation.
But with the black child in the fire, you have two prejudices. You have one conditioning to save life, that's a good humane thing, and you have another against black, and the humane for life, but that is also a conditioning.
Is it?
I feel.
No. Is it?
To save somebody.
No, don't take somebody. Look.
You saving a child is in a fire.
I know, don't take, if you don't mind at the beginning, when you are investigating, don't take an example yet. Then you'll get lost. You follow? Don't take a simile. Look at the thing for itself first. My question now is, mind is, you have said that when there is awareness, there is no prejudice. And prejudice exists only when there is no awareness. Right? Why is it there is no awareness at all? Huh? I'm asking. I'm not saying it's right or wrong.
Why is there no awareness at all?
At all. Only few minutes, you follow? Why am I not awake? Why am I not awake? Don't say all the time, past time. Why am I not awake? Why is there not awareness? Is awareness a habit? I'll tell you something. Many people in the East, and I think also in Western religious culture, have seen the importance of being aware. They use different words like self-recollectedness, attention, watchfulness. You follow? They use different words, but we'll stick to one word. And they say they realize the importance of being tremendously aware, fully awake. So they say now, to be fully awake, I must do certain things. I must eat less, fast, practice certain things, which is to be aware of my feet. What? This is all done. See the movement, how I move my feet, and gradually see the whole organism in action. So slowly become more and more and more and more attentive. I'm asking you a question. More and more awake. You follow? That there are whole schools who say do these things and you will become aware. Right? Have you got it?
Yeah.
Now, I ask, is awareness a habit? Which is practice. Repeat. Become conscious of your food, the way you eat, the way you talk, the way you move your legs. You follow? Get watching all this till you become fully awake. Cultivate habits to become fully awake.
Well, this habit only makes the I more and more.
Of course.
More stronger and stronger. This is the big prejudice.
So what? Is awareness a habit? If it is habit, it is not aware. Right? So, how is it? Now, next question. If it is not habit, what has happened? What is going on? You see, we said first of all, listen carefully, we said first of all, when there is awareness, there is no prejudice. We said awareness is not habit, is not practice. Right? Right? Awareness is not discipline.
You said it does give result. I mean, if people do it, then
I don't care what people do. I mean, there's a lot of people who do silly things. We said, please, it doesn't matter. Now, when she says lots of people do this, of course lots of people do this. Lots of people drink, smoke, kill each other, of course. But that doesn't mean they're right. The intelligence observes and says, the intelligence says as long as there is awareness, there is no prejudice. Intelligence says, not my intelligence or your intelligence. Intelligence says awareness is not habit. Right? Awareness is not a constant a repetition of something. So, intelligence says it is none of these things. Are you following all this? Intelligence functions in negation. It's not that, not that, not that. It doesn't matter, 10,000 people may say it.
Maybe a difficulty is that there are so many not that, not that, not that.
Therefore, the mind then becomes extraordinary. What happens? If the world says it is that, and the mind says it's not that, the world says go to war. Intelligence says no. Who is 99% say go to war. So intelligence acts in negation. And in negation, intelligence becomes positive. Got it? You get it, sir? No?
Negation is the action.
Look, if you keep on saying no, 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 do the things the world says yes, 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 what has happened? Through negation, your mind, your intelligence has become extraordinarily positive. Yes? Huh?
Yeah.
You see it? No?
It's like you have to understand what the world is.
We have understood.
Yes, we know what the world is, but that you have to know.
And watching what the world is, you deny it. The denial is the intelligence. The denial is the very denial of intelligence is the positive.
You mean
What?
you mean the intelligence is denial?
Yes, I mean, that's what I said. Sorry, that's what I mean. So intelligence in action of denying no is the most positive action. Right?
But this denial is awareness.
That's what I'm saying, sir. So.
And if we are prejudiced, there is no denial. Because we don't see the...
That's it.
So awareness is there at the beginning, right?
And not in there, beginning or ending. I have no awareness. Take the man who goes and kills, he's not aware.
There is prejudice and there is no
Of course,
intention
there
to
is not
deny.
aware. So, mind is aware not through, in understanding habit, practice, you follow? And in the denying of it, the mind is aware. Awareness is intelligence, right? So, where there is intelligence, there is no prejudice. It's only the unintelligent mind that is prejudiced. Now, I want to find out if my mind is intelligent. I want to see what this quality of mind, which is intelligence. Right? Are you following all this? So I say, I'm going to examine, I'm going to watch. The mind is going to watch. Not accept anything. Because the moment I accept, I'm already prejudiced. Right?
Isn't there a separation there?
Of course. So mind is watching. In watching there is no prejudice, no division. If I watch that bird, watch it carefully. If I watch that bird on the lawn, saying it is a pheasant, I like it, I like to shoot it, I like to eat it, then there is a division. But when there is a watching, without like and dislike, hate and fear,
without accepting and not accepting.
Yeah, that's just it.
That's just it as well.
Of course, all that's implied. So, watching means just watching. Not through my screen of prejudice.
Not even saying, I like the pheasant, I want it to go on walking on the lawn.
I watch it. There's a watching without judgment. That's awareness, isn't it? In that watching, in that awareness, there's no prejudice.
But what happens then? Okay. The pheasant is there, you're watching. A man comes with a gun and shoots the pheasant.
Wait a minute. So I go to the man before he comes to shoot the animal, as we do, as you did, and says, "Sir, please, sir, we want this place to be a sanctuary for birds." You have done your very best to prevent it. But he says, legally I'm going to do it. I'll have all the policemen around. You follow? I have the authority. Then what am I going to do? You're not going to resist, you're not going to go and beat him up.
But isn't that an action? No, it gets tricky. Because
go into it, sir. Go in. It is very tricky.
Isn't that an action of like or dislike? The minute you say, I don't want him to shoot that animal.
No. My intelligence says, look, go back a little further. Not, I don't want to. Intelligence says, no violence. Violence means division. Right? Got it?
Yeah.
Violence means division. And I see division means all that we describe. Therefore, intelligence says, intelligence is operating. Intelligence goes to the man and says, please, we would like to make this place into a sanctuary.
Then you really have to feel compassion. Then you really have to feel compassion. Then you can say to him, come, we will do something.
Yes.
You can't create. Then there's the possibility of creating a separation or being aware and
That's right.
together.
That's right.
Then you say, come, we can do something wonderful. We can do something beautiful. Please help.
The trickiness, part of the trickiness, or a trickiness, is in not making a conclusion out of what intelligence has perceived, and not saying killing pheasants, making that is bad, and making that a conclusion. It must somehow continue to be a perception and function of intelligence, an action of intelligence, and not a product that says, no, pheasant killing.
Yes. It's like what's happened in America. In many parks, it's very good in ways, and somebody saw this and said, we will have in these places no killing. But then, right in the middle of the park is an Indian reservation where the people, their sole means of food is a few animals, not many, just a few, and they are all of a sudden not allowed to kill because somebody said,
Don't kill.
no kill.
Oh God.
So the Indians done. This is a conclusion.
So what does that mean now? Awareness. When there is awareness, there is no prejudice. And awareness doesn't come about through practice, through stimulation, through any compulsion, fear or punishment, fear or pleasure. That is intelligence. To see all this is not intelligence. To see all this as not being intelligent is to be intelligent. Right? See what takes place, sir. The world says all that is intelligence, right? To kill, to divide, to have violence, to prejudice. So the world says all that is intelligent. And you come along and say, sorry, all that is not intelligent.
It's what games, many games are. They say it's intelligent to be able to defeat.
All that stuff. So what is your relationship then between you and the world? You following? You say all that is not intelligent. And you say it because the mind is intelligent. Then what is the relationship of that mind that says that's not intelligence to the people who are not intelligent? I don't know if I put the question. You have understood? Do you withdraw from the world?
Separation.
And then go into it, sir. Form your own communes, committees, groups. Withdraw. Intelligence also says compassion. You following all this? Intelligence is compassion. When you have compassion, you can live with the world, right? And not withdraw into a solitary cell. There is this tremendous tradition in the world, both in the East and in the West, that a religious man must not have sex. You saw in the Catholics, monks, all that. They say, no. But now it's breaking down because they are beginning to marry. And there is a lot of trouble going on there. And in the East, a monk only can attain reality, God, but nobody else. If there is any kind of sexual relationship, you cannot possibly cross the threshold of God. You follow? That is a tradition that has been going on for 10,000 years. Whatever it is. And if you say, sorry, that's silly, to them you're not a religious man. And yet, to be religious and not belong to them You followed a bit? Have you noticed something rather interesting? When you are watching, that is, aware, your body becomes very still. If your body, the organism is fidgety, nervous, tired, restless, can it be aware? Can there be awareness? Awareness being intelligence, when there is watchfulness, awakened state, your body also becomes extraordinarily awake, doesn't it? It isn't just up here.
Is immediate action intelligent?
Huh?
Is immediate action intelligent?
It depends what immediate. I hit you and you hit me back. That's immediate action.
No, immediate action, not the response. Not the reaction.
That's it. The reaction is, you are hitting me back. I say, you call me a fool, and I say, you are another. That's a reaction. But can you, if you call me a fool, and I I'm watching. Listening. In that, there is no reaction, I'm listening.
Though there can be bodily reactions, psychosomatic or somatic.
Of course. If you put a pin into me, I'm going to react.
The heart beats faster and so on. So you listen to that too.
Oh, absolutely. That's why they say, let's practice to control the body. You have to go through all that in order to be aware.
But all this is only the result of non-awareness.
But it should be the other way around, not the body, if I would train the body to not react and all the rest of it, but be awake. And to be awake, they say, take a drug. LSD will help. Again, you follow?
But if these reactions in the body have gone for a long time, they may be because of a disorder which lasts. Now does attention to the reactions undo what time has done in the body? Or is it there that, for instance, techniques like yoga come into being in order to...
It helps, actually. If I'm in the habit of frowning all my life, what happens? It can't suddenly go. But watch. But if I'm really awake to frowning, that's the whole business. What I am awake to every frown.
Well, in a way, there is not really any difference between what happens in the body, which is physical, and the mind, which is also physical, and our thinking process is a matter of chemical and electricity and some other things. It's not really different.
So look, suppose if I have a habit of scratching my head, fiddling with my thumb, with my fingers. Is it possible to end it? No, I won't put possible. There is an awareness of this thing. Scratching, fiddling. What do? What happens? The habit has been set going for years and years.
If you're aware of it, it's not a habit anymore.
Therefore, what happens? It stops for the minute. When I'm not paying attention, back again.
Well, you keep you aware.
Therefore, follow it. Go step by step. How is the mind to be truly aware?
All the time.
How? I am not.
So then you're not truly aware.
So when the mind isn't aware, I'm scratching.
Means you're tired. Means something's wrong.
What do I do? What is to happen?
If you need rest, you sleep.
No, you don't answer me so casually. When I'm not aware, it goes back. scratching, or frowning, or doing something or other.
Overeating or whatever.
So, what's your answer?
Then, in the moment you see you are aware, actually you resist to do it.
It stops doing. Not resist. I'm aware, awake, conscious that I'm scratching. The moment I'm aware, it stops, obviously. But when I turned around and look at something else, back again. How do you answer this?
Well, if you're not aware of it all the time, then it's not truly being aware.
Yes, but how is the scratching to stop?
Well, you can give yourself another habit.
Be careful.
A habit of not scratching.
That's it. So what do you do?
Why are you scratching?
Oh, analyze.
Seems that
Watch it, sir. Do answer me. Don't go away from this. I'm going to hold you to this very interesting question. Go into it.
I would say if there is when there is a watchfulness, it's freeing. It's a freeing force which liberates energy, which leads to an immediate action about it. But this energy,
you're saying little by little.
No, well, that's a problem. Because this energy gets.
I just did little by little. I'll take 10 years.
Well, if you're looking at something, or if you just don't concentrate or unaware of the habit of scratching ahead of something, if you're looking or if you're being aware of what's going on around you, you won't need to scratch.
So watch it. Which is important? Being aware or stopping the scratching?
Being aware.
Huh?
Being aware.
Being aware.
So leave scratching alone for the moment. Be aware. More and put your whole being into being aware.
Then you want me to scratch.
No.
Then even if you scratch, you
doesn't matter.
No, you see, if your intention is to stop scratching through awareness, then there is no end to it. Please see that. But if you say, right, awareness is much more important than scratching, right? You're aware. And
Would you be aware if you have an intention of being aware?
no, you see the importance that we discussed this morning. You see the importance of being aware. Mind sees it, which is part of intelligence.
Your body can feel it too. As a whole, you eat too much. Your body says pain. Aware.
So it is the unintelligent intelligence that says, stop scratching. Be concerned with that. But intelligence says, keep awake. Leave scratching alone. You see the difference? So the sharpening of the mind is more important than scratching. Intelligence also. What time is it?
That's it.
My goodness.